Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to Pro Game Reviews. In today's video, I'm going to go over the next Nongshim Cup game after Iyama Yuta's 2 consecutive wins. Now Iyama Yuta faces the 3rd Chinese player, who is Qincheng. Qincheng is known for his very fast game style. He actually became 9P by winning the Asia TV Cup, which is famous for its fast-paced style time setting. In this game, Qincheng is black and Iyama Yuta is white. Qincheng started with a double star point. Iyama Yuta pulled out one of the openings that he was known to play in the past, which was the 3-4 point facing a 3-3 corner. Now, many players have brought this back sort of because of the abundance of 3-3 invasions, and so this was a very resilient way of saying, do not invade my 3-3. As we continue on, black approaches and white kicks. So black approaches the left and splits off the left, but white makes quick territory in the upper left corner, and then white invades the 3-3 point in the lower right. This is all very standard. Now black and block on either side doesn't make any difference at all. And after playing the knight's move, black chose the hane and inner cut variation. So at this point, white could either choose to cut at s4 or Atari at q2. So in this game, white decided to Atari. Now here, white can also capture at p1, but that's actually optional because if black captures, white always can capture at s4. So white just ignored, and white invaded the upper right. White is choosing a very territorial style and forcing black to gain influence. Then black blocked, and knight's move again. So white kept extending and hane. White didn't choose to attach directly at s14, probably to avoid this large, very complicated 3-3 invasion variation. And now black hanes. Here we see Iyama Yuta choosing a very solid option. White Atari'd and simply tiger's mouth. Now, if you are familiar with 3-3 invasion Joseki, you would know that this is actually slightly worse for white. And the reason is because after black hanes and Ataris, locally black did not make the throw-in. Black could forcefully achieve this variation by playing the double hane, and then haneing above. Here, white would also have to directly capture, and then black would be able to get this. So that's what I mean by there is one less exchange that's made. This exchange could matter quite a bit, especially if white needs to make this group alive in the future. It also affects the push on top, as well as the potential center move at r11 for black in the future. So the choice by white, after black made the hane, white Atari'd and tiger's mouth. This is a local loss. However, if you take a look at the whole board, it prevents black from making the inner cut. For example, if white blocks normally, black would obviously cut again, and now black will develop on the right side. So at the expense of local loss, white has gotten the better direction, because at the end of this variation, black's influence is facing white. So this is a good example of a small local loss for global benefit trade-off. So after this, black does not have an obvious place to develop, so black decided to capture and then pincer on the bottom. Now black is developing some potential on the lower side. White responds, and because this is a large knight's move, black pincers. This is a very comfortable move to pressure white's large knight's shape, and later on black might play c5 or just slide at b6. Both of these moves are very comfortable for black. But because this is the opening, playing quick is very important. So it's not surprising that white ignored this move and white cut. Now, Iyama Yuta is known for the fact that he is very quick at making fighting decisions. Sometimes when his opponent hasn't even reacted yet, he quickly decides now is the time to fight, and somehow he ends up having an advantage. We also see that here. When white cut, black has to make this Atari and then black jumped. White played the shoulder hit on the left, black pushed twice, and black played the 2-space extension. This is one of the most critical mistakes of this game. It is also very subtle in terms of the actual loss, as well as the loss in win rate. Now, the AI thought that before this, black was about 54%, and after this, black was about 45%. So maybe like 9-10% win rate change is actually not huge, even for pro players. However, this is indeed a very big mistake. And the reason is because after this move, white was able to get a push. This move is so important. After white extends, locally black is not alive. This forces black to play moves to escape to the center, and all of these moves are very little points and help white escape. This makes a very big difference. If we go back to the original position, most of us would probably have Atari and then 2-space extension, right? This seems like an obvious exchange, and after that exchange, black has a completely settled right side. So the mystery is, why didn't black exchange that? Did black simply forget? Now I'm going to reveal the answer, and black did not forget. Black is actually thinking a little too much. So here's what black thinks. If black plays this directly, if white extends and black escapes, and black can just escape to the center, right? But the reason behind this is that white's corner is actually not completely alive. And that's the reason behind not exchanging that. Black did not simply forget. However, this weakness in the corner is so further down the line that it's just not important enough for black to have a weak group to worry about, just so that black can maybe threaten that later. So the move here is quite simple. Black simply Ataris. And if white connects, black could Hane at T2. And after white captures, black could Hane. So this is a one-step ko in favor of white, meaning black needs to spend an additional move, even after winning the ko, to make the ko into a direct ko. And similarly, if white captures, black could directly attach. And locally, this is still a one-step ko in favor of white. So this ko exists, but it's so heavy for black, and you need to have 2 moves just to start it, which makes this not worth it, and why R9 directly was such a big mistake. To just give you a sense of why this is so devastating, after white makes the pressuring move, black had to spend multiple moves locally. White comes back here, keeps pressuring the group. But we can see, as the fight goes on, black keep having to spend moves locally here. And all of these moves make no points and give white a good reason, a good way for this middle group to escape. So white keeps getting benefit and getting extra points. And after another exchange, after sacrificing 1 stone, black finally captured the stone in the middle to ensure safety of this group. But at that point, white is already so far out and have benefited from extending the stone back at f4. At this point, white is already leading. So as the game goes on, there was another fight on the lower side. Black tried to fight aggressively, but white pressured back on the right side, and we had this capturing race. So this is all relatively difficult reading, so I'm going to not focus too much on this local fight. So the Hane was also a very delicate exchange move, forced black to increase liberties before white block, and that was a good exchange for white. So we can see how Iyama, his whole mental state is he's very much on top of these little details, and he's fighting hard to increase the lead even though he is already leading. So after making sure that locally black cannot end this ko, white continued to make the middle group stronger. The local result here is a step ko again. but white did keep in mind that originally on the lower side this was all black's territory anyway, so white has no loss essentially. So the fight continues in the middle, and it was translated to the upper left side. Now black is trying to pressure the upper left group, but overall there are very little places to gain any extra territory. And by creating a step ko on the bottom, white has actually made sure that it's pretty much impossible for black to start this lower right ko, which, remember, all along black was aiming at. So slowly, white is turning that lead into a winning state. So as the game continued, we had a bunch more trades, and notably, white played another very cool Tsuji that I'd like to share with you, which is after black ignored, white atari'd and clamped. This actually starts the ko to not only capture the 4 stones already, but captures the 5 stones in a ko. And all of this works because white's connection at E19 is sente, because it threatens to capture the upper left group. So a very flashy Tsuji by Iyama Yuta to secure the win. And after the ko fight, white was able to just capture the middle, and that was enough for white to secure the win. So there was another ko fight in the lower left, which ended up being won by white, and that was the game. So in this game, we saw a very clear-cut fight by Iyama Yuta. Right when black made that mistake to leave a weak group for a slight benefit, white seized the chance to pressure black and protect the middle group. That allowed white a very smooth entrance into the middle and reduced all of black's potential. So that gave white an easy time reducing the middle potential after all those opening moves to gain the territory. And with that, a very convincing win. Iyama Yuta, 3 wins in a row, and the next challenger is Shiminjin 9P. There's definitely a lesson to be learned here with this 2-space extension. Now, tell me in the comments, would you be tempted to play a direct 2-space extension if you saw that life and death weakness? Or would you still decide to just Atari and be done with it and have a safe group? Okay, with that, I'm going to end today's lecture. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, I appreciate it if you drop a like, and I will see you next week.